Good day folks, Sean here from Air Photography. So DJI today has released a very substantial update for both the Air 3 and the Mini 4 Pro. Some great new updates and we're going to go over them in this video. Now normally with firmware videos I like to go over the release notes and the firmware versions, but right now I'm using beta firmware, so that's probably going to change by the time the public release comes. So I will include that information down in the description of this video. So let's go ahead here and we're going to start with the Air 3. This received a very substantial update and I know a lot of you are going to be very happy with what it's now capable of. The most notable update, the biggest update in my opinion, is they've added the new 360 active tracking mode. We first seen that introduced with the Mini 4 Pro earlier this year, but that 360 active tracking is now available on the Air 3. Now, if you're not aware what the 360-degree tracking system is, it's when you're using ActiveTrack, you can easily place the drone anywhere in a complete 360-degree circumference around you. You can do this on the fly while it's tracking you just by using your fingertip and moving the position of the drone. You'll notice there's two rings, an inner ring and an outer ring, and you can drag the drone back and forth between the inner ring where it's following you a little closer to the outer ring. The 360-degree tracking mode works extremely well, and on top of that you can actually go into the settings and you can adjust some of the parameters of this 360-degree tracking mode. You can adjust things like height and distance and several other options. The 360-degree active tracking makes getting dynamic shots while active tracking very easy. On top of that, they've added a new auto mode. Before that, all that was available was trace and parallel, but you can now set it into auto, and you can see at the top there it gives us what mode it's in, and it will automatically change, and again can make for some nice dynamic shots. The next update we got for the Air 3 is Vision Assist. Again, we've seen this added with firmware for the Mavic 3 series earlier this summer, but they've now brought it to the Air 3. Vision Assist basically uses the obstacle avoidance sensors, these two cameras here at the front and at the back here, and it allows you to get a visual from different angles of the drone. It can be very beneficial while flying backwards if you're trying to grab a shot. It's only in black and white and the footage isn't stabilized, but it's enough to see if there's any upcoming obstructions that you have to be aware of. To access it, you just swipe on either the map or the compass down the bottom left-hand side. You'll get a small preview of the Vision Assist, which you can then make bigger by tapping on it. That'll bring it up to a full-size screen. And from there you can see we have arrows at the sides and at the top. So you can bounce around to the different angles to see if there's any obstructions. So definitely a cool new feature added to the Air 3. Now another great update that they've added to the Air 3 is the ability to zoom when in photo mode. With the 24mm camera, we can zoom from 1 up to 3 times. With the top 70mm camera, we can zoom all the way from 3 times up to 9 times. So definitely can help you frame your shots a little easier in some circumstances. The next update we got is the ability to create sphere panoramas on the 3x camera. So if you're a person who likes to create panoramas and you want to be able to create a sphere panorama with that 3x camera, you're now able to do so. And the last update we got is the ability to turn off the downward facing sensors. Again, we got this update earlier this year with the Mavic 3 series, but now we can do it on the Air 3. And that can be very beneficial in some scenarios. If you ever get caught in some fog, sometimes the fog can mess up those downward sensors when you're trying to land. But more importantly, that can make taking off and landing on moving vehicles a little bit easier. For example, if you're taking off or landing on a boat that's moving, a kayak or a canoe, disabling that downward sensor is going to make it a little bit safer to take off and land. So some great new updates for the Air 3 if you own it. Now, of course, the Mini 4 Pro got some very substantial updates as well. Some really exciting ones that I know a lot of people have been waiting for, including myself. The first update is the ability to now fly with the Goggles and Motion 2 controller. So once you've updated the firmware on the drone, your goggles and the controller, you'll be able to bind them and be able to go ahead and do a flight. It's compatible with both the Goggles 2 and the Goggles Integra. I actually did a test flight with it the other day and it worked very well. I'm going to be uploading my first flight video using the goggles with the Mini 4 Pro either later today or perhaps tomorrow. And for those who are wondering about head tracking, yes indeed, head tracking does work with the Mini 4 Pro if you're using the goggles too. Of course, it did get some other updates as well. Just like the Air 3, we now have that new auto mode for the 360 tracking. Again, that can be a very useful tool for some people in some scenarios. It works really well, and it's definitely a great addition to the intelligent flight features. And just like the Air 3 and the Mavic 3 series, we got Vision Assist on the Mini 4 Pro now. So you can bring up the Vision Assist panel and get a preview of what's coming up behind you if you're flying backwards or sideways. And lastly, for the Mini 4 Pro, again, we also got the ability to turn off the sensors, the downward facing sensors. Again, making it a little bit safer and easier to land on moving subjects, such as boats or canoes or kayaks, even the back of a truck if need be. So definitely some great new updates for the Mini 4 Pro and the Air 3. Now, as mentioned, I'm going to be uploading my first flight video of the Mini 4 Pro and the goggles, but I'm also working on a video that's going to show you how to update the firmware and how to bind the goggles to the Mini 4 Pro. That way, if you decide that you're going to purchase the goggles and the Motion 2 so you can fly them with your Mini 4 Pro, and it will show you exactly how the binding process works. So keep an eye out for that in the next day or so. Well, folks, that's basically it. Thanks a lot for watching. See you in the next one.